I'm gonna mute you here for a second.
No problem.
Oh yeah, it's your boy Crypto Blood. We got a nice one tonight, people. Hope you guys join in and participate in the chat room. Call in as well if you would like. I like people to call in, so please call in if you guys have the ability to. Tonight is episode number 22 off the chain. We're going to talk about DLive, going over to BitTorrent's camp. We're going to talk about this Sony car that was unveiled at CES. And also, one thing that was pretty interesting to see, a new report, and actually I have the site, shows that more Bitcoin transactions are not coming from the U.S. First time this has happened since 2013, I think. So that's going to be interesting to discuss and get your feedback on out there, people. And then also, Ukrainian Airlines plane crash. We're going to get into that we got Trekk on tonight. I know he's got a lot to say about that. And then one thing we're going to clash heads on tonight is Mark Cuban's comment. It's not in the title of the video, but we're going to talk about Mark Cuban and his comments about Bitcoin. Now, Mark Cuban is not one of those people like Warren Buffett or even Donald Trump, people who are just kind of ignorant to the technology. He knows about it. He's been tracking it for I would say 4 or 5 years now. I think I heard Mark Cuban talking about Bitcoin back in 2015. At first he was a skeptic, but then he started to learn the technology and everything. So I really want to talk about and highlight his criticisms about Bitcoin and get your feedback on that as well. The number is on the screen. Guys can call in, get in queue. We're going to get started here in about 2 minutes.
You are fucking with the wrong person. For the coins, some people come up with all kind of schemes. Silly niggas for the paper doing anything. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, man, fuck fiat paper. I'm after a new caper. Staying tuned to the moves of wicked dudes and skyscrapers. I'm rising up to swags of a new flavor. I'm after a new layer of profits a lot greater. That is why I like the West, and I'm like Elliot Ness. I keep my drive locked in, I keep it close to the chest. Planning for the right moment to rock on to the next. Cause these markets don't close and my pockets won't rest. Yo, God got a vision of riches. My FOMO got the fearful in stitches. Hoolie up, yeah, cause we in the trenches. Crypto is my pension, dividends is my mission, and I'm inspired to try on digits.
All right, guys. The number is 669-900-6833. The code is 169-861-119. Call us up to get in queue, to chat. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Trekk is trekking again, people. He's in Manhattan somewhere. I don't even know where the hell he's on top of a building or something. I don't know what's going on. This guy Trekk is in Whole Foods in mid Manhattan. So we're gonna get this started here right now. But before we do that, I gotta start us off right. FN Base, what's going on? Mastermind, yo, how you guys doing tonight? We got a ice storm or something coming in through Michigan. I know a lot of people are getting hit with tornadoes and stuff out there, so be safe, everyone. But let me get started the right way. You know how we got to kick it off, people.
We'll do it live. Fucking thing. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Yeah, we'll do it live, people. What's going on, Trekk? Let me get Trekk unmuted here. My man Trekk is again in Whole Foods somewhere in the United States. I don't know where he's at. But Trekk, man, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me again, bro. I appreciate.
Yeah. Everyone's like, yo, Trekk was like, yo, you sure people like me coming on? I'm like, why you say that? He's like, man, they be going crazy in the chat room. I'm like, that's got nothing to do with you. That's got nothing to do with you. So, yeah, man, we're gonna talk about a few things. 3D, what's going on? I see your boy 3D is in the chat room. Make sure you guys hit that like button to get us those thumbs up. I see we got 8 likes right now, so that's cool. So, Trekk, man, what's going on in the world? Where are you right now, man? You're in Manhattan. You
Yes.
stay in New York more than you must have a penthouse out there in Manhattan.
Not at all, bro. Not at all. Not at all. It's just a matter of my kids live up here, and with what I'm doing now, as far as this whole independent working thing and trying to work on building a network, as far as the blockchain crypto side stuff, I come up to New York a lot because there's a lot of things that work to be of a benefit coming here. So aside from the kids situation, work-wise, we talked about this, the whole dealing with TaskRabbit stuff. The market up here, even though it's slow right now, this is part of the season. Like once things pick back up, I'm good, and it's better than being down in like Virginia or like Baltimore or whatever. So yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah,
right
that's cool, man. I actually read something about Baltimore, man. You guys' crime rate is escalating a little bit. What's going on with that, man?
So I'm not a native Baltimorean, right? But
Okay.
what I can say from how I see it from the people that I know there and who I talk with, it's just in my mind, it leads to the thing of like, hey, economically speaking, people are hurting,
Lack
and
of
the
resources.
first
Yep.
people that you would see who start to act out to find other means are the people who are already at the bottom, because they don't have any cushion. They don't have the checking account. They don't got the saving account.
They have nothing to lose.
The check thing. So
Yeah,
it's
they
just
have-
like, as soon as you see, oh, I lost the job. Up, they took my hours down. They don't have that time to let me pivot and go figure out, let me get a new job thing. And I'm not saying this is the case for all of the, violent related things that are happening.
No, but that's a large majority, bro. I promise you, it's a large majority.
It is exemplified in various different means, is what I'm also trying to say. And some of those things end up being violent things, as far as like the shootings and the killings and things along that line. Another thing, just to see, like, even with like the jacking, or like there's an uptick that I've definitely noticed in the Amazon package pickups. Like,
Really?
When I tell you, like, there's certain things that I pay attention to, and that's definitely one thing that I've been noticing. So you have it where the people are just catching stuff off of your front yard or whatever, because Baltimore has X amount of houses and stoops and stuff, right? But then you also have it where cats is actually going the extra and just jacking the whole van.
No, wait a minute,
Bro. I kid you not. I kid you not, bro.
Wait a
I kid
minute.
you not. Cats is down in Baltimore jacking the whole van, and I know if I was a driver, y'all not paying me enough to go have to scrap with some dude who has nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta be kidding me.
Their motivation and goal is a whole different level than me getting that quote check at the end of the week. Mind you, X amount of the people who are working right now are only seasonal workers. So you're gonna be gone in like a month or two anyway.
Yeah. Shout out to my man Tim G out there in the chat room. Hey Tim, man, I saw your tweet earlier this week, man. Are you okay? He was throwing in the towel on cryptos. Maybe you need to call. Maybe you need to call in, Tim. We can have an intervention. Don't do it. Don't throw it in. Don't give up. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to my channel patron, Crypto.com. Check those guys out, guys. I think I have a link in the description below. You can sign up for one of their debit cards. I've been using it for 6 months now. The best one I've had. And so you guys should definitely check it out. There should be a link in the description below. If you're watching this not during the live stream, there definitely is a pinned link. Check them out, crypto.com. I've got a link, and if you sign up under my link, just use CBlood, that's CBLOOD, for the referral code, you'll get $50 when you sign up. I think if you fund your account for like 3 or 4 MCO tokens, I don't know how much that is, like $100 or something like that. I don't even think you have to stake it. You just gotta fund your account, your debit card or crypto wallet account. So check them out. They also got something else going on, an announcement. They now have an earn for program for XLM. So you'll earn 8% per annum if you stake your tokens, your XLM tokens with them. And I thought that was pretty neat. And they have different staking periods. You can do a month, 3 months. No, a month. No, you can do day to day. You can do a month, or you can do 3 month staking. So check them out. And also, you can now top your MCO Visa credit card, crypto debit card with XLM directly as well. So check those out by crypto.com, my channel patron. So again, thanks to them. But yeah, man, let's go ahead and get started tonight. Where do you want to start, man? We kind of talked. You got on a little early, so we had a chance to talk a little bit. Where do you want to start, man?
Let's start with your boy Cuban.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Yes. As soon as I read the first passage, bro, I said, "Oh, this is so him. This is so you." Like as soon as I read it, and I was like, "See, we're gonna have to have a couple of words on this."
Yeah.
I think that his stance, and why I say it's similar to your stance, because you say, well, the majority of the people are doing the speculation side, so that's what this thing is. And I say, and I counter with no, because that is dismissive of the people who are using it as a currency, as a payment system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, granted, the popular narrative might sound like it's B, but it doesn't negate that A is still happening.
Shout out to John Hill for the super chat, man. He said, you think that was the bottom on Bitcoin? I don't know. We'll talk about that in a second. Definitely will answer your question regarding that. But before we do that, let's talk about this article, man, because I think personally Cuban is spot on right now. It doesn't mean that this won't change this narrative. Basically what Trekk is talking about, guys, is that Cuban has some choice words, some very critical words regarding Bitcoin. In a recent interview, Cuban again took a stab at the #1 cryptocurrency in the world by market cap. He says that at the end of the day, it only has one real problem: people aren't using it. And in his tweet, this is what I thought was spot on. He said, "You don't have to convince me. You need to convince your neighbor. If they don't see value, that is the problem you need to solve. I'm not opposed to Bitcoin," he said. "I understand every argument being made. The world is littered with great products and services that failed for lack of consumers. Bitcoin is available in this country and many others for almost no cost. The percentage of consumers choosing it as a methodology for payment or store of value is infinitesimal." He said it's almost free and few want to use it. Interesting. All right, what you got to say on that, man?
So there was a line. Okay, one, the way that the writer frames what Mark is saying isn't necessarily what Mark is saying, because he makes it sound like Mark is diametrically opposed to Bitcoin because of this whole use case thing, right? But that's not actually what he says. But then the other part where I was going with it for a second, and then he said something along the line, and I can't pull it up right now because of how I'm looking at this, but he said something along the lines of how it's meant for the disenfranchised. No. He doesn't talk about speculators. He was talking about the quote original use case of it, and then how it was made for the lower prong people. And I'm just like, wait, where does it say that in the white paper? Where did you get this from? The talking point that Mark himself actually says makes it sound like, oh, this is about a rich versus poor people thing. And I'm like, what white paper were you reading that you walked away? Or maybe this just might be a talking point that he's using to push a narrative a certain way. I don't know exactly, because it's not the whole conversation, right? It's just snippets of it, and then the writer is piecing it together a certain way, which I don't agree with. I think that
So he
part of it
said,
is,
so I don't know if he's saying this or the writer, but it says that right now Bitcoin is mostly used for speculation as a means of growing one's wealth and investing money to see if things explode within the next year or so. But Bitcoin, like all cryptocurrencies, was originally designed as a means of payment, a way for people in third world countries. This is what you were talking
bomb.
about, who lack valid credit options to get their hands on everyday goods and services they need to survive.
Like, where did it
Is
say
that not true?
where did it say third world countries, bro? Like,
Oh, you saying
find
in
me
the
that.
white paper?
Exactly.
Nowhere.
Like, exactly. So what I'm saying is that the way that like this is being framed, it sounds like oh well, it's a rich versus poor thing. No, the idea was peer to peer. Peer to peer doesn't break down into what tier country you're in. Peer to peer just is peer to peer, person to person.
But Trekk, peer
But
to peer, Bitcoin does solve that issue with barrier to entry for the 90% of population in the world where they can't get a bank account. It costs too much. You see what I'm saying? So it does solve that. It may
I'm
not
not
say that.
saying it
It may not
doesn't.
say that explicitly in the white paper, but that definitely is something that
No.
we
I'm
talked
not saying
about in the
that
early
it
days.
doesn't do that. What I'm saying is how it's being framed, bro. Like semantics is a real big thing for me now. With the more I pay attention to understanding like narrative economics, popular narratives, and the propaganda PR game, that definitely is being pushed within the mainstream of like the general news, and then things that I just see popping up and being pushed within this whole echo chamber of the crypto news cycle. That's just
Hmm.
how I'm looking at it now, bro.
So who do you think is correct? Which side?
I'm still stand on what I stand on. That
Which
people are using it in various different ways. It's just a matter of the popular narrative's focus is on the financial gain side of it, is on the speculation side of it. But that is not negating what other use cases there are for it. That's what my thing is. Don't
But
just
so here's the thing where I side with him because I think when I read the article, he's an investor. He invests in different tech companies and non-tech companies. And I've been on the other side of that table trying to raise capital from these VCs and stuff. And what he's saying is very true. If the reason we can't make excuses for why people aren't using it, the reason why people aren't using Bitcoin on the scale that I think at this point should be nearing is because the lack of like it's not, people aren't grasping to the concept because it's not a need right now, especially in first world countries. It's not a need, and so you have to go with the evidence. Like if the consumer isn't reacting to it, why isn't the consumer reacting to it? You may have a
yo.
bomb ass idea, but
Okay.
if nobody is attaching to it other than for speculation, the main sole reason, or I should say the main reason for this technology in the white paper, it talks about peer-to-peer transaction, and it's
Okay.
not
Let me
happening.
throw this one. Let me throw this one out there for you, right? Um, we agree that credit cards are a form of debt, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Take a guess at how long it took credit cards to make the first 50 million users.
I'm not sure. They came out in the 1960s, 70s, right? That was kind of when
Technically, that's
they
like the
kind of hit
official
the consumer.
timeline, but
Yeah.
like there's early versions as far back as like the 1900s, right? But as far as the first 50 million users, it took about 30 years for that to happen. Why? Because the people didn't see a valid use case for it in the general public. It was a matter of the industry, banking, retail, um, and I forgot the other one. They had to push it out to get people to buy into the idea of this little plastic thing is going to allow me to buy things now in the moment and pay for it later. And I don't have to
But
be.
Bitcoin doesn't have that same
No, I'm
use
not saying it
case.
has that same component or risk in it. What I'm saying is the thing of saying, well, why aren't people getting it now? Like, all right, so mass adoption is something that I think we have really been misunderstanding as far as trying to make it sound like a one-time event. It's a linear thing of like once it happens, like then bam bam, like everything else should just follow right after it. And in my view of this, I think that they're like humans are the commonality of the whole thing about mass adoption, but it's more about an influence on the pace, and the pace happens through what I see as three different means, right? You got the top-down, bottom-up model. You have open source technology, and then you have cultural dynamics. The cultural dynamics is the part of like how are the people looking at what the system and the convenience is and what their environment is, and how dependent are they on the government or on external things beyond themselves. Like how resilient are they to figure out their own thing? Yo, you looking like Mr. T right now.
Yeah, we got 10 Pound in here with the we got the
like
10 Pound got the cutoff on, guys. He's got the gold chains, about 5 gold chains around his neck. He's ready to listen to me. If you don't want to. 10 Pounds, what's going on, man? What's going on, bro?
Roasting, yo, you're straight roasting, young.
10
bro,
Pounds,
propped up, and I see like the shoulders. I was like, oh.
10 Pounds, man. What's going on, bro?
I'm just over here kicking it, chilling, having a ball, man, listening into your conversation on mobile. So I was like, why not hop in?
So what's your thought, man? What's your thought? Who's right in this situation? Is it? I mean, I don't think it's an argument. Like, just go by the numbers. Mm-hmm. Is Bitcoin being used? No. There's no.
I mean, for the most part, people don't want to use it because they understand how the old guard is just manipulating the system as it is right now. Like, who really wants to take a decentralized currency that is going to be integrated with the old game when it's based around the new game? You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about game theory here, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got people currently in second world, third world nations, and their currencies are being hyperinflated due to their central banking policy. And Bitcoin isn't issued by a central bank, bro. This is outside of the reins. And most of the people that are using Bitcoin are in those situations where they need it. You know what I'm saying? It's a need. It's an absolute need. If we see some hyperinflationary action over here in the States, people aren't really going to be transacting in Bitcoin like that. Like, most people, like, they think about trading Bitcoin whenever it's at like 50K or like $500,000, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not trying to sell when it's at bare bottom right now, or we're at like 8K, 9K. Nobody's really trying to use it when they already realize that it's definitely doesn't have a ceiling on its growth. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about it, honestly. So I think you're right to an extent.
So, okay, cool. So what about like, I don't know, man. Even when I think people will begin to buy it once like the first world countries start to see a lot of hyperinflation, I think you'll definitely see people begin to hoard it. They still won't spend it. They'll just be buying to hoard because they're trying to run away from hyperinflation, in my opinion.
Right, capital flight method.
Yeah, capital flight. Right. I think that's definitely coming. Aircoins Lee said that Cuban is right. This is a global market and Bitcoin is barely being used. Heck, Tesla's market cap may dwarf the entire crypto space in a year or so.
Why are we even comparing to Tesla? Like, I seen that article pop up a couple of times, and I know I'm jumping sideways on this.
No,
Tesla
you're
thing,
fine. You're fine.
But like, we're getting hyped about the projected value of speculation of a price on something for a company that does horrible at actually making money on actually making and selling a car product. Like, how are we getting excited about that?
I wouldn't. I see what Aircoins Lee is driving home there. I don't even know if he's really actually comparing the two so much to just say that that's how small Bitcoin market cap is. I think that he's just kind of comparing comparing those two, you can't really compare it. You know, one being a new asset class versus a company that's creating stuff. But Maximilian Price said that in 2017, Bitcoin turned into an investment instrument. Now most are less likely to spend. I would agree. I would say around, actually, I think a little bit earlier than that. What do you say, Trekk? I say about 2016 ish is
First,
when I really.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I know I sound very passionate to the one side of it, but I need to be clear. I'm not negating that people are not using this as a speculative financial tool. I'm not negating that.
They're mostly
I'm
using it as that, right?
not saying that. I'm
Okay.
not.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, and when it comes to the financial side of it, that is the part that is being pumped as the bigger, more important use case and the thing to pay attention to. That's what my issue is, as opposed to, well, all right, how is this helping people? We're not talking about that, or what are the other things that people are doing? Like at the end of the day, right? We know that within this whole thing of how do you garner people's attention, if you don't attach some either blood to it or some price talk to it, most people tend to have it just fly over their head. It's a sad truth. Hence why we keep, like, you ever notice how when King and Jay point this out all the time. Whenever the news cycle's slow on what's going on in the crypto space, or like whenever the thing dips too long and it like plateaus out for a little bit, they start throwing out these like sideways predictions and, oh, you remember this person said blah blah blah, and it's always on the price speculation aspect of what's going on in the bigger space. That's the thing that annoys me, and most people just go with that because that's what's being pumped at them. I just have an issue with that because I see what the tactic is.
I don't think that's what's being pumped to them as much as it is. So I put it to you this way. And we got another caller. We'll take him in a second.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more so if there was a true use case, the utility is going to out pump anything that the media can portray Bitcoin as. It won't be able to sway the demand to utilize the technology in that manner. You get what I'm saying? If you got let's say in the United States, 10%, if 10% of the United States use Bitcoin, the working class, people able to work, let's just say what's that, maybe half the population, 150 million so roughly work. I don't know what the number is, but let's just say 15 million people use Bitcoin on a regular basis. Dude, that's not, they're not going to be able to sway that. They're not going to be able to hide that. They're not going to be able to persuade people against using it in that manner if they need to use it. People don't need to use it yet. Let me get to this caller. We'll get back to it. Caller on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood. Welcome to another episode of Off the Chain. Who's calling in?
What's up, Crypto Blood?
What's the word?
So is Trekking on? Is Trekking online too?
Trekking's on.
Trekk, what's up?
I just want to say, man, I'm a big fan of Crypto Blood and Trekking. I think you guys are great. But I'm also a big fan of John Kim 77 on Twitter. What's up?
Oh, it's my boy Johnny. What's going on, baby? Let me give him a round of applause.
What's up, baby?
Let me give Johnny
you know what? I saw two African Americans talking. I thought y'all needed a little yellow butter in between
Asian
y'all.
persuasion, huh? Yeah, we need a little Asian persuasion.
Hey, it's getting a little bit too what's the word? Bready. You need a little bit of butter in the middle, so you guys have a little bit of different perspective. You know what? Everything yellow is beautiful. Banana, make sure that you don't get cramps. Butter, makes the bread taste so toasty. Come on, man. You guys need a little Jackie Chan in between your rush hour.
I need you to chime in on this because you're like the biggest face of Litecoin, right? And you're pushing this. What is your take on currently? Not where we want to be. I know you're really pushing it. Litecoin is a means of payment and everything. Like where are we today though? Like being realistic in our assessment of things. is what, I don't know how long you've been listening, but is what Mark Cuban saying, is that true right now? No one's using it because your neighbor isn't using it. Is that a true fact? A true statement?
Well, I just tweeted a video of Jeff Bezos talking in 2007 on YouTube, right?
Yep.
And in 2007, he said the internet was like in 1908 what a washing machine was. Washing machine weighed about 80, like I think quarter of a price of a car, right? And he said he was talking about in 2007 where internet was so primitive that it took hours upon hours to even get DSL in your home, and even people who understood technology couldn't even get that done. And he was basically saying like, hey, you know, innovation it grows exponentially, right?
Yeah.
And he was talking about how, you know, these messages and these newspapers saying that, you know, internet is way too complicated for anyone to, you know, use, right? And he's talking about how Amazon.bomb, right, is never going to be amount to anything. And I just feel like that in 2020, people are going to say that, right? But I just feel so privileged to be in this space right now. It's like in 2007, Jeff Bezos was a nobody. He was giving a talk at TED Talk. Now he's the richest. 13 years later, this guy is the richest man in the world with over $100 billion to his name. And I ended my tweet with Bitcoin and Litecoin will have a bigger impact than Amazon in the next 10, 15 years, right? So where we at right now, people are going to talk. Just like everybody talked bad about the internet in 2007, like it was never going to scale. It was just too clunky. It was too difficult for average people to use. But 13 years later, man, all you have to do is click on an app, you know, one click shop. And I also said that Jeff Bezos in 13 years reprogrammed people's mind on how to shop, right? So I just think that whoever wins with the blockchain Bitcoin space, right, in the crypto space, whether it's Bitcoin, Litecoin, and some other smart contract platform, I'm not going to say EOS because I know, you know, Crypto Blood's going to get a hard on, and I don't want that to happen.
No, but you said something though that I think I want to correct you on. I don't think it's a if this wins then that one lose. I don't think it's that situation. I think
exactly. I think you're right. I think you're right because Amazon's not the only one that won, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, Amazon was the biggest winner, but there were so many other internet companies that actually did very well. So the only listen, I don't like EOS, okay? But the only reason I have a little bit of hope for EOS, do you want to know the main reason why that is?
Why?
It's because Crypto Blood believes in it. That is the only, I swear to you.
I saw it coming.
No, listen, Crypto. I know you do your research. I know you're a smart cat. I know that you're not a shiller. I know you grow your followers and subscribers, you know, organically. Yes. And I know that you have done your homework, and I haven't done my homework on EOS. Therefore, I do have a little faith in EOS because
but there's different use cases.
Crypto Blood does.
Yeah, but John, there's different use cases for these cryptos, and this is it's funny because I just tweeted this out earlier today from I think Cobra online. My man Cobra, he runs what does he run? He's like the co-founder of Bitcoin.org and Bitcoin Talk and everything. Major guy in the space, and he said. I'm gonna bring this quote up, this tweet up really quickly. He said that Bitcoin maximalism has caused a general culture rot in the cryptocurrency community. Before maximalism, people would see an interesting project and say, "Oh, cool," and move on. Now it's become a religion to scream shitcoin and scam coin from the rooftop, even at legitimate products or projects, and that's true, man. That's where we are with things, and I don't.
Hey, Blood, can I say something to that? Okay, so I truly believe the Bitcoin maximalists are needed because there's an old saying, do not remove a fence before you find out why the fence was there in the first place, right? They understand the fundamentals very correctly, right? But what they don't understand is that there is room for another project that are actually being honest in trying to solve a problem, right? So I don't agree with the Bitcoin maximalists. I call them maxi pads. But because once a month they're very angry, right? That's why I feel like all the Bitcoin maxi pads are on period once a month, and they attack everything and call it a shitcoin. So what I'm saying is, yes, I like the Bitcoin maximalists because I can learn the fundamentals of crypto, right? But at the same time, I disagree with them because they don't have the capacity to understand that there is room for other cryptos and other projects like smart contracts, right? They're not competing to be a currency.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. John. EOS is not competing with Bitcoin. EOS is not even. It's not even competing with Bitcoin. That's not even the purpose of EOS or Tron or whatever smart contract project you're a fan of. So there, and that's what we have to understand.
Hey, Blood. That's why John Kim's not competing with Crypto Blood, because John Kim's a currency adopter and you're an EOS smart contract platform adopter. So we're cool.
Exactly. And I don't think I've been critical of Litecoin, but I don't think it's going anywhere. And especially with the moves that you guys are making, moving to that Mimblewimble thing. See, that's the type of stuff that needs to happen. Like, you got to differentiate yourself from Bitcoin, because saying that you have more supply and it's slightly faster is just not enough. So I'm glad to see that Litecoin is moving in that direction.
Okay, there's two more things I want to say before I hang up, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Number one, the only reason Blood likes Litecoin is because he sees the potential of what John King can bring to the table. And don't at me, don't question me. All right. Yeah. In the same way, I like EOS because Crypto Blood believes in it. And it's the same way that Blood believes in Litecoin, because he don't know what the hell that John Kim's gonna come up with next. Okay. So period. No talk back on that. Number two. This is what I realized in the past couple months as I was like, this is on a serious tip, right? Mm-hmm. I was going deep into why everybody's trying to be faster, better, have a faster block time, faster transaction time. And I was talking to my friend who's a MIT graduate and also worked at NASA. So basically he's a rocket scientist, right?
Right.
And we're talking, and he said, you know what most people don't get is a thing called settlement assurance. Do you know what settlement assurance is?
No, not really. No, educate us on that.
Okay, so settlement assurance is, let's say, I'm going to say this, and everybody has to be real. Okay. If you had $10 million, straight up, $10 million, and you needed to send it to Korea or Nigeria or Mexico, to your family, okay? Mm-hmm. And that 10 million needs to be there securely. If I ask somebody, what coin would you send it in? Most people would say Bitcoin. Right?
Yes.
$10 million. Yeah, right? And then number two would be maybe Litecoin, Ethereum, but everything else, you would not trust $10 million on their network, right? Because it's still a work in progress. Okay, so
I wouldn't, but I'm I've been in the space for a while, so I would have sent it Litecoin or something else. But yeah, the average crypto person, I would say probably Bitcoin.
Right. So if I had $10 million, I would literally. There was only 3 coins. If I had a choice, number 1 would be Bitcoin, number 2 would be Litecoin, and then number 3 would be Ethereum. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't even consider anything else. So what when I was studying, this is what happens. You know when Bitcoin block time is 10 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And everybody says it's slow, right? What settlement assurance is when you send a payment, it's assuring you that payment will never be rejected or be double spent.
Yes.
Right? So let's say some other coin is 20 times faster than Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Well, when you compare it to settlement assurance time, Bitcoin's 1 block is equal to their 1,000 blocks.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So many people in this space sell how fast their block time is and how fast their transaction is. But what the regular people don't know is that settlement assurance is the most important part of sending a transaction, which means that like after six confirmation of the Bitcoin payment, like literally it would take it would take. I mean, I think it takes close to 6,000 confirmations for Ethereum Classic.
Yeah, no, it takes more. It definitely takes more on those other blockchains, John. But the thing is, what's happening though, and what has been happening for many years now, I remember back when Bitcoin, I would send Bitcoin to like pay for something on a website or something. This is maybe like 5 years ago. They would actually, it was fast enough to where they would require 6 confirmations with that merchant. It was common to have 6 confirmations even back then when you're paying for things. Now it's like 1 or 2 because they want to keep that user experience good. You get what I'm saying?
I know, but
they're risking.
I know, but you're missing one thing. It's 1 or 2 now because the hash rate is so much higher now, right? 1 or 2 is equivalent to 6 back then.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is,
with
like,
you, John.
Yeah, so if you guys okay, let's say Litecoin, right? Litecoin, when it comes to settlement assurance, is number 2. That's why I'm so heavily into Litecoin, because with settlement assurance, any proof of work coin, right? There's a cryptocurrency, not a smart contract platform. Anything that's a cryptocurrency, the settlement assurance is what makes big money, rich, wealthy people trust in the blockchain and the network to send funds. Okay? We're not talking about 1 Bitcoin yet. We're not talking about $50. When there's $100 million being sent on a network, what they wanted to see is how secure the network is and what the settlement assurance time is. So Bitcoin's 6 confirmation is worth literally like you can't even compare it to any other coin. But there are some coins that actually like compete with it, and one of those coins is Litecoin and Ethereum. And that's why when people launch like a exchange or whatever, they always include those 3.
Yeah.
Because the settlement assurance is so important the more money that you have. Like me, you, and Trekk, I don't know about your blood because you probably have some money stashed away. We're not millionaires, right? We're not millionaires. And if we're sending anything, we're sending $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, right? And we don't have any worry about that. But when you're sending $50 million, $100 million, I promise you, the rich and the wealthy, they're using Bitcoin, and if there's any other choice, they're using Litecoin and Ethereum.
Yeah,
so that's why.
What?
You're kind of proving my point as far as the everyday person isn't going to use Bitcoin. It's going to continue to head in that direction.
Exactly. The everyday person is going to use whatever is being marketed to them the best.
Yes, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Right?
Yes.
because whatever is new, shiny, works with Apple iPhone and Michael Jordan shoes.
Yeah.
But in the blockchain world, what's beautiful that they're missing is what's not new. It's what's old, what has history, and what is the most reliable. Right? That is what we are dealing with when it comes to true cryptocurrency. But when it comes to marketing, they market a new blockchain or new crypto just like they would market a new Nike or a new product. That's why the new people that are coming in, they fall for it.
Yeah.
Somebody else gets this. When I be trying to explain this thing to people about this marketing thing and how marketing folks are using traditional concepts and tactics and strategies to market this space, I get the dumb look on the face. Like, what are you talking about? Isn't that how it's supposed to? No, that's not what it's. That's not what will, in my opinion, works for this space to get people to actually adopt in. But
so Trekk, let me give you a good example. You know, I do a lot of things behind the scenes right now. Like I'm not really on Twitter to promote anything right now because there's a global initiative going on behind the scene that I'm involved in, right?
Nice.
But I'm gonna tell you one thing without exposing names or anything. When it comes to partnerships, okay? I may get in trouble, but I probably won't because I'm not naming any names. When it comes to partnership, don't be naive because every partnership requires a lot of money. Okay? I'm not going to say anyone else, but any partnership that you hear that is not Bitcoin, Litecoin, or top 10, well, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. And any no. I'm not saying anything. Okay. Any partnership that you hear that has a lot of pre-mine, that has a lot of funds that they can use, those partnerships are not coming because that blockchain is valuable. It's because they pay for that. And the reason I bring this up is because most of our Litecoin Foundation's partnership is very organic, unless it's UFC, right? We have to pay a little bit to be on like a new a brand that's already out there. But when it comes to real partnerships, we always say no airdrops, no pay, right? Mm-hmm. But the people who get the biggest partnership behind the scenes, there's a lot of money involved. And that's what most people don't see on Twitter and the regular people don't understand. The people like Bitcoin and Litecoin, literally, every partnership, major partners that you see is because they pursue Bitcoin and Litecoin first because we have value. But every other coin that has a big partnership, they pursue that company with money and gets it done. And that's the big difference.
Yeah, I believe that, definitely. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate John Kim jumping on tonight, ladies and gents.
I love Crypto Blood. I love Trekking, man. I love what you're doing in the space. Thanks for letting me talk. I appreciate it. I love you guys, and I hope the best for you. Crypto Blood, I'm gonna tell you, man. Hey, all you people out there who's listening to Crypto Blood, look, this is the only man. This is not about skin color. This is not about anything. If he was Asian, I'd say the same thing. This is the only man. When me and him, we talk, we agree on one thing. You either grow organically or you're a freaking cheat, right? Yep. Like you don't have to flip your script and start doing charts and price prediction to gain more subscribers. You don't need to flip-flop from Litecoin to Bitcoin Cash to gain more followers. Me, I'm a Litecoin guy, and you'll always see me as a Litecoin guy, and I will die as a Litecoin guy. Crypto Blood will always go down as that dude will tell you the truth, tell you his opinion, don't give a damn about what you feelings are hurt or not. No. And that's why if we're looking at the long picture, in about 2-3 years, Crypto Blood will be in the top because most people in this space will be able to trust him because he's been consistent with his message. And if you love Bitcoin and Litecoin and crypto, you got to believe and love the fact that there's a man like Crypto Blood that cares more about his character and his value system, just like you should care about the history and the value system of a true cryptocurrency.
There you go.
I'm out. See you guys. Talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for calling in. My man, John Kim, always. Man, I love that guy.
That was an unexpected random right there.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know. That's why you got to tune in. You never know who calls in. You got John
over
Kim.
Here rubbing elbows, bro.
You got John Kim to Richard Hart. You may have Vitalik Buterin call in next.
Or
I don't know. Or Satoshi Nakamoto. Call in, Satoshi. Call in. But yeah, man, I mean, he makes good points, and I agree. Like, I see right through it. I see right through a lot of the acquisitions, and we're going to talk about one tonight. It's maybe a good segue. But a lot of people in the chat room were talking about XRP, and they were saying XRP when he was talking about different, other altcoins. And of course, XRP sells tons of coins to go out and then do acquisitions and buying different companies and doing all this. So, it's a shady game going on, and really, I think the bag holders are losing the most from it. I think the bag holders are losing the most. 10 Pound, he's been saying some real reckless stuff over there, man. I don't know, in the chat room, bro. What are you talking about?
You're feeling that Mr. T moment. That's what that is.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
T.
maybe. What are you trying to discuss? What are you trying to?
I saw something about you talking about that. EOS was a fork of Ethereum. That could be the furthest from the truth.
Technically, all right, EOS was an ERC20 token, so it forked off of Ethereum.
No.
Yes,
they only
it did.
I'm not even gonna jump in that one.
They only use the Ethereum network to raise the funds. The actual mainnet is totally different than Ethereum. That's what makes it better.
In the Explorer entirely, there are a lot of companies that have done that. They've actually started on Ethereum just to raise capital, and then completely start their own project. But still, like, they had a token swap. It was an ICO. So it just comes down to this company actually taking the time to transfer over those tokens into actual coins. You know what I mean? So,
oh my god!
But isn't the fork based on your blockchain? Like, isn't that what a hard or soft fork based on? Not
the code
token,
yeah.
right? So
yeah. It's not a hard fork. It's not even a soft fork. It's a totally different.
You'd say it's a token swap, but I mean, still, whenever you're on one chain and then you're migrating all those assets onto a different chain, I mean, come on.
Hold on, I know what I
got.
No,
you're not gonna get me on that one.
I know what I gotta do with 10 Pound real quick. I gotta bring out the Mac in on him.
Are we really not gonna?
If we talk about code, just because you swap from, like, it's not because you swap from one digital asset being a token to another. Yes, it's a conversion, but it's not that you ran the same code. You didn't run the same net. Like,
right.
That doesn't. I don't see how that equates to being.
Like 3D said in the chat room, is either code or history. That's what I mean. But yeah, the blockchain history, right? That's a fork of it.
Exactly. So there is a database that's interacting with a different database that's on its own separate chain. That's on its own original mainnet compared to on the Ethereum mainnet. So I mean, for instance, everything is supposed to be accounted for, which of course, whenever people were converting their EOS tokens into the mainnet tokens, there was a bit of a mix up and some sort of issues with people, getting their proper EOS from the ERC20. So there was a hiccup during their mainnet launch because of the fact that they didn't have all their ducks in a row. But, these things happen. So it is what it is.
10 Pound. I'm glad we have 10 Pound on every other show, because he brings a totally off the wall Peter Schiff-esque type of commentary to the show. I love it. Thank you 10 Pound. Thank you. So let's get, before we move on to the next subject, though, I do want to bring up a comment that was made by Aircoins Lee. He asked a question. If voice is trash, do we stick a fork in EOS? Yeah, well, we don't stick a fork in it, but it definitely would. I put it to you this way: if voice.com flops, then it will hurt EOS a little bit, but nobody knows about any of these blockchains yet, so maybe not. But if voice succeeds, then it will be a huge boost to the legitimacy of EOS in my
if
in
voice
perspective.
flops now, all they gotta do is rebrand and come back out in like a year and a half.
Exactly.
And once the user base gets past a certain amount, it's like, oh wow, totally new shit.
Yeah, exactly. Now,
like
if voice somehow has, and I don't even see this happening because you can always fix code, but if it has some type of catastrophic error when it had 1 million, 2 million users, then that'd be a bad PR move on for them. But no, I don't think at this point, we're so young in all of these blockchains, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Before we move on, also I gotta answer John Hill's super chat. He asked, was Bitcoin's bottom end? It's hard to say, but it made a strong move. I'm just gonna bring the chart up really quickly since he brought that up. It made a strong move. I don't know why I can't bring it up for some reason. That's weird. There we go. It made a strong move off of this support area that I actually had drawn before this even happened. So we could be going through a kind of a ABC pattern though. So we could go A, B, C, and then move up again from here. But as long as we keep the 7,600 area, I think we're good, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens with that, John Hill. But so far, looking good. Anything above 7,600, I'm bullish. All right, dog. So let's talk about this Tron and BitTorrent move to really more so BitTorrent acquiring DLive. Yes,
So,
sir.
like I said before,
what's your take on that?
I think. I don't want to make it sound like I'm putting words in somebody's mouth, but I think Tron is in the position to be able to follow the traditional roles of how capitalist businesses work, like Alphabet, where it's okay, go after the smaller company that has a technology that we want and that we can integrate into our thing. So, as far as them taking over on DLive, I mean, I stopped messing with, I stopped messing with DLive like a year or so now. And honestly, I was more of a fan of them when they were on the Steam blockchain.
Yo, somebody said the other day that DLive was a blockchain whore.
You know what? Okay, so here's the thing on that,
they
right?
went from Steam it to what other blockchain? And then
and then they did Lime. And okay, so here's the reason why I would agree with that statement, because if you don't come out saying, listen, yo, we're blockchain agnostic from the get-go, when you start doing that, oh, we're running with this, and you promoting and you doing this whole brand narrative combination thing, and then all of a sudden you make a pivot, and then mind you, the way they pivoted off of Steemit, like I wasn't paying attention to all of the details, but the shit was just shady. The way they pivoted off of the Steam blockchain, and then they jumped onto the Lime blockchain, and once they did that, I just stopped messing with them. And then now they're doing this. So to me, this is just my outside observation, they kind of look like bag chasers and blockchain whores, because like you now have crossed 3 different communities, right?
But that's not is that not a good thing? Like, they're looking for the right community to grow. Like, you don't think with BitTorrent, a person that has a propensity to use BitTorrent is definitely going to be more likely to look at a decentralized YouTube, right?
Agreed for that, for having that feature, that element in it. Agreed for that. Mm-hmm. But I also think that at a certain point, they probably had to start looking around and going like, yo, we're not making the revenue the way we thought we would. We got to figure out who else can we tap into and cross brand, as well as just being brought under the umbrella of another, blockchain. And mind you, I haven't paid 100% to them, but like, that's what this looks like to me. This was we need to get the coffers like kind of worked out, because we still got these coders and these devs to pay. We want to do innovative things. Yeah, the BitTorrent part, definitely, that's like a check. That's a definite high point check. But just because of how I don't know if it's the same people in charge when they did the first crossover, but if it is the same set of people, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from the coders or like the community of users at large. But when it comes to that management, the people who are up in the special meeting side of it, they're not ranking high on my totem pole.
10 Pound, what do you think? Mr. T, I mean.
I honestly don't even know what he means by they were a part of the Lime project. What's Lime, if you don't mind me asking?
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I remember them being on Cosmos.
Oh yeah, Cosmos. Yeah, that's it. That was the blockchain I was thinking of.
Cosmos, like, dude, they were on Cosmos for like, I'd say maybe 12, 24 weeks, not even that. And then they got acquired by Justin Sun. And honestly, I think they're just following the money. When it comes down to it, they're doing what's best for their employees.
They looking like bag chasers. They looking like blockchain whores. Like,
yeah, exactly. Come on. I mean, like, let's be real here. This decentralized finance space is full of pump and dumps and shills, man. Like, right now as it is, like, they're following whoever's paying the most capital, you know, and they're being paid mercenaries, dude. They're paid mercs. Like, it is what it is. And
how does that work? Like,
what?
When they go from one blockchain to another, they're just collecting bags as they go, and they don't have to disperse it to any of the token holders. This is a win-win for them. It's not like
no. And so this goes to the point that you said before about the bag holders, right? So if you had the Lime token, you can't do nothing with it now. Because once they switch the chains, I don't think they're doing a conversion thing, and the article didn't make it seem like that. But you holding shit.
You're right. You know, Steam, for instance, man, like, I remember they're trading at like $4, you know, and DLive profited heavily off of that ecosystem.
Yep.
And then they literally hop ship, like, straight up, no notice, super shady.
Bro,
really right.
When I tell you, they did it like where it was within 8 or 5 days when they sent the email out, because it was me, Ken, Rice, and Matt, and we would live stream on DLive, and they literally hit it where, like, they sent out the emails like, oh, you have X amount of hours or a day or something to convert your videos over to the new platform we're going to. There was no, if you were in the community on like the in the know side of it, there was no preempt like, hey, we're gonna switch blockchain. It was just like, here's the email, we're switching over. You have X amount of time to say yes or no if you want to go to us with the new blockchain. There was no community vote, nothing.
Not at all. And that's the thing. It came down to Dan Lammer's executive decision to leave the Steemit board and to just literally cut ties with Ned. That's exactly what caused that decision. So it's all about these people operating in the best interest of their own ecosystem, their own code. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to travel to whatever blockchain they need to travel to. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt for right now. Just I want to see. I don't think they're gonna move again. So let's just see, you know, what they can build, because again, at the end of the day, it's about adoption, and you got to go where the best adoption probability of adoption will be. And I think being with BitTorrent and them merging their systems, BLive, and their whole thing and merging it with DLive, I think it's going to be successful, to be honest with you.
Yo,
I agree.
So if they get absorbed,
shady or not is what I'm saying.
No. If they get absorbed into BLive, that's garbage, because they had a bigger brand, and I didn't hear BLive until this article. And then the other part being is, generally, at least for me, when I think of Justin Sun, I think of the marketing, branding narrative guy.
That's why I could never take him seriously. That's why, and I'm wondering, like, go ahead.
Like who, you know what I'm saying, punch the numbers and was, yo, the community's moving at this pace of growth. If we get them into blah, 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 they have a certain synergy between the DLive community and like BitTorrent users or the demographic base. Like, who crunched those numbers together? If you could show me that person and I get like a X amount of a conversation, I could be like, okay, you know what, this makes sense. Y'all don't look like bag chasers right now to me.
Yeah.
But, you know what I'm saying? Like, with Justin Sun's history, and I'm not saying he's a bad dude, I'm just saying he's not known as
an opportunist. He's an opportunist, right?
Development guy.
Yeah, he's an opportunist.
Like, that's a marketing dude all the way through.
Right. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. You guys let us know your feedback on this whole DLive, BitTorrent, or BitTorrent DLive acquisition. At the end of the day, I think
best of luck to him, though.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, long term is going to be, I think, lucrative for DLive's ecosystem. They've, the people who created it already got paid 3 times over, but I'm saying the actual users, I think it may have some potential. Let's take a look at this next article really quickly about Bitcoin and the transaction volume actually moving away from the U.S. for the first time since 2013. What does that mean? To you, what does that mean?
It means that the article's a goddamn switching bait, bro.
What?
That's what it means.
What you mean?
So I'm reading it and I'm just like, all right, what are we talking about? Like, what is this supposed to indicate to me on price? What is this supposed to indicate to me on technology development? It does none of those things. Now, if you are someone who is paying attention to what is going on in that part of the world, right? Arguably, you could be like, oh, this might be a capital flight thing happening. Arguably, you could make that statement. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm reading the article and then I get towards the end and I'm like, wait, what? Where we ended off isn't even what we started with. What is going on here?
Well, the article talks about Singapore being the number one country now that is receiving more dollars via Bitcoin than the United States. And, to me, I like to look at articles like this because it forces you to kind of delve deeper in to see more of about what the user behavior. I think user behavior is a leading indicator to maybe how the world is looking at this technology.
Social dynamics, bro.
Yeah, so I brought up the actual site that and I'll pull this up for everyone, and I'll drop a link in the chat room. But this site is pretty neat. It shows you the Bitcoin flow by country, or the interaction by country, and you can see if we go all the way back to inception, or at least till when they had data on this, the United States has been number one all the way up until last year. If I keep scrolling this over to the right, when we get to 2019 is when Singapore takes over, and the only reason this second country here is number 2 is because of BitMEX, but Singapore is the number 1 country. And I don't know, man. I feel like
is that for a whole year, because I can't see it on the full
this
thing.
is for all of 2019. Yep, all of 2019.
Again, like, I would argue that this might be a sign of what's going on with the capital flight situation in that particular part of the world. That would be me, arguably, though. But I feel that the title was clickbait, and it was like, oh, we're going to tell you something insightful. And then I got to the end and I was like, what the fuck is this? You didn't tell me nothing.
I think it was just kind of making a statement. It was open-ended and vague, but I personally like to look at articles like this because I didn't initially have an opinion about why, but if I had to make up a reason, I don't know, man. Like, is it that more people over there are more interested in it than here? I don't know. I really don't know. Squeaky G said that he's questioning, is it that they're moving there because the off and on ramps are more available?
But that goes, so here's what I'm gonna say. I agree with you that articles like this do have an interest or a point to them. I don't think that what the headline indicates as like, here's what you should pay attention to, is what is the interesting note in that. That's kind of my takeaway on it. But like I said, like, to me, I read this and I go, well, this may be an indicator. And if I look at X amount of other things as far as news articles and developments of what's going on in that region, this could be one of those markers to be like, oh, there's a capital flight thing happening over here, and here's a sign of it that's going through Singapore in particular, right? That to me is what I would draw as the quickest thing to be like, all right, what is this indicating? How did they take over just out of nowhere in 2019?
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe I have to do a little bit more research on it. But again, those types of those type of articles, those type of stats usually fly under the radar. But they're that way for a reason, and we, those who are really into this crypto stuff and want to kind of get an edge over everyone else should possibly look into why. Is it because something to do with China? Could it be China going as a proxy through Singapore to...
How about could it be Hong Kong?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, is there a proxy?
Like, it's a X amount of miles away. It's a plane trip, but like, hey, the internet is everywhere, right?
Yep, exactly.
Oh,
So, but that what I'm saying with that being the case, maybe Bitcoin will be, because we really haven't had a geopolitical crisis with Bitcoin yet. Meaning, since Bitcoin has been around, we haven't had a true geopolitical crisis. And so maybe this is a foreshadowing of what will happen if things do hit the fan in multiple areas, multiple countries.
I mean,
keep that in mind, people.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see. It's one of those, like, I don't know what would be the linchpin. You know what I'm saying? Or the camel that breaks the straw's back. Because you have this new data, this new, highlight that's being put on Singapore. It's like, hey, look, X amount of, the equivalent of USDs passing through this area. But then when you like zoom out and you look at what's going on within the bigger region, it's like, okay, there's a couple of things playing out right now. And it would definitely take more on our part to go through the weeds to figure out what are the connections. You know what I'm saying? Like, it isn't that y'all have all the hashing power in Singapore. It isn't that you have X amount of the nodes in Singapore. It isn't
you don't.
That, you have X amount of the exchanges in Singapore. Granted, there are exchanges that are like registered there or whatever, but it's not like you have the quote highest volumes for the Eastern hemisphere in Singapore.
Right.
So it's one of those, like, yeah, what else is going on over there that is not being presented to us over here in the West?
Yeah, same here. That's the question I have. And again, I think I'm going to approach it as this is a foreshadowing of, I'm connecting it with what's going on in China. The Hong Kong thing, China. I think possibly there's something that you can draw some parallels with on that. That's why I wanted to bring that one up. But let's talk about this Sony car. You thought I brought this article up from a different angle. And it wasn't even really on that tip. It was more so about, so I don't know if you guys know that Sony revealed a car, an automobile at the CES this year, a concept car, and they're not actually bringing this car out. This is not a car they're bringing out. It's just for kind of to, I guess, get a pulse from the industry.
It's like, where are we going? This is what it's going to be like in X amount of years.
Exactly. I didn't know. This article talks about, and it talks about how Sony is really already very active in the automotive industry with their sensors. A lot of companies, I didn't know this, a lot of companies use their sensors for like emergency braking and stuff like that is made by Sony. I didn't even know that. But this article really just kind of, their car is called Vision S, and I'll bring it up on the screen really quickly. It looks kind of nice, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah,
dude. It looks Tesla-esque, though. They could have came a little bit more original.
That silhouette.
Yep. But this car, they don't give any real stats on it as far as its range or anything. But it can go 0 to 60,
mile range or
nothing. And they said they didn't do that because it's not coming out. But to me, seeing that you have a company like Sony bring a car like this to CES, to me, bro, lets me know that this is the direction we're going with automobile industry. Like, I think we're going away from the Fords, the GMs, the Chryslers, and we're going to be going toward the Apples, the Googles, the Sonys, the Huawei. You're going to have a Sony car, a Google car, an Apple car. That's the direction I think we're going.
So let's put it this: I would venture to be like, all right, in the next 5 years, you will see official product so the tech companies and automobile companies doing official like public brand,
Yep.
right? And that's like a 5-year out thing, because obviously, as we say it now, as we see it now, you know, Sony has X amount of technology already in cars, which is funny because it kind of plays out the same way. Like, who is that? Is it Lamborghini or
Yes. Lamborghini partnered with
who's the
Alexa.
No, not that's not where I'm going. Who's the airplane engine manufacturer?
Airplane engine.
Is
Rolls
it
Royce.
is Lamborghini or is Bentley? One of them. One of them
Rolls
is
Royce and
their
Bentley.
company is actually right.
That's
So the
right.
company is actually this one thing.
Yep.
They just happen to do this stuff.
Right.
Which I would argue that probably be a direction that X amount of the tech companies would look to go in. I mean, Google has enough of the infrastructure and like the technical know-how to be like, all right, yeah, let's like Google already has pretty much. If you have been in the military, right? You got public Google, and then you got red Google, right?
Yeah.
There's two different Googles. My point to that is, if Googly look to get into the automotive industry and a more aggressive stance of having their system integrated into the electronic side of the platform, they could sell it on the GPS side of stuff alone because they already have the infrastructure, the technology, and the technical know-how. I'm telling that from the standpoint of what I know and what I have seen, and how Google's mapping system is way beyond every other app version that you could think of who has a map. Okay, and that's just one element of what they do as far as the geospatial mapping thing. And then you just get into the whole thing of like them competing with, you know, Apple and Amazon for the whole the voice systems. That's going to be another area for them that they can get into, which is funny. I was talking to somebody
That's
about
what I'm
this.
saying, bro. Like, I do know, I'm in the Motor City, and it's been known that Ford is pivoting hard toward being a tech company. That's what they're doing now. Like, they're putting a lot of R&D, a lot of money into tech and, you know, the AI, mobility, that area, man. And that's the future. If GM, if Chrysler, Fiat, whatever, I don't know if they're still together, but if they don't get their stuff together, they're going to be in trouble, because you're going to have a new sheriff in town, which will be these tech companies, these Googles and Apples and Amazon. You might have an Amazon card at some point in the near future.
So really the question is going to be, who's going to make the first public business partnership to integrate those different aspects of the technology into the actual hardware and the electronic systems of vehicles? Like, that's going to be the question. Who's going to make that first public move? Because now, like, Sony just upped the game on y'all publicly at CES.
Yeah. And the thing is, this is the crazy thing. I thought you were talking about this or going here with it. Lamborghini just teamed up with Amazon. So in the new Lambos, for all you guys who are waiting for Bitcoin 20,000 to get your Lambos, you'll be able to get your Lambo with Alexa talking to you now here in the near future. So it's happening, man, and it's I don't know, man. I think it's going to take less people. This is what I mean by, and this is what I talk about all the time, bro. Technology is a gift and a curse. Because if these companies start kind of pivoting toward being a tech company like this, you're not going to need as many people building these parts. There's less parts in these types of cars.
I'm gonna give it to you better. Paul from Edge Wallet a couple of weeks ago gave a presentation that was talking about wallets and how now the space is changing as far as the trend in what's developing of wallets being connected to exchanges. So you can do your in-app conversions, your atomic swaps within the app. You can purchase, you can sell within the app of the wallet, right? And I'm talking about crypto wallets. So he was talking about Edge using it as an example, but he was making the point that with what's coming down the pike and going forward, it isn't about being, quote, a manufacturer or a producer of a, quote, product. It's about being a software company, because the lag is always in the hardware. The hardware is always like, what, 5 or so years behind, and then because of what we're doing with the processing of computers and stuff, you're talking that 18th month flip and the upgrading. So hardware is always behind. If just what you showed with the car alone, how different was that silhouette from something 10 years ago?
Yeah.
How different was it from 15 or 20 years ago? But if you look at the inner workings of it, what the navigation system is, what the air brakes, what the sensor system is, what the airbag system is, if you look at all of those parts, those joints are vastly different from like 10 or so years ago.
Yeah, Robert Lee says that legacy American companies are dinosaurs. They are, but ironically enough, I agree. Like I think it's like a 1%er type situation with when it comes to American companies as well. Like we had the best companies in the world, meaning Google, Apple, Amazon. They're running everything. Out of the East, you have Tencent, and they got some mega companies out there out of China as well. But everything else in the United States, we are falling behind, I think, in many regards. Or it could be that a lot of these mega companies like Apple and Google and stuff are just acquiring the smaller companies before they even blow up. That could be the case too. But
same thing, bro. Hungry hippos. That's what we about to see. Hungry hippos.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's jump over to the last one for tonight. Wow. Right. And I sent you this article, but there has been an update on this. Air safety expert says that despite Iran's denials, investigators will be able to tell if missile caused Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752 to crash. And we have since found out that it was a missile that was launched by Iran. What are your thoughts about?
Wait. I gotta read what the update actually says, bro, because I told you off when we were pre-talking that the way the article is written, what it was actually doing was discrediting the ability of the Ukrainians to test the wreckage themselves. It was undermining their ability to come to valid conclusions. That's the way the whole article is written out. So this is, in my mind, in my little mind, right? In reading how it was written, and reading how they put in the expert folks, and then in looking at how they were talking about evidence, talking about the black box, talking about the voice recording thing, talking about how you have to read, missile system, like missile damages from missile attacks. They were basically undermining the credibility of the Ukrainians to use their own laboratory to test and come to a valid conclusion that can be verified with other backup testing.
Do you blame them though? Ukraine is so corrupt.
So this isn't a whole do you blame them thing. This is a they were.
I didn't even. By the way, I'm not even seeing it from that angle that you're coming at, which is cool because that gives me a totally different angle that I didn't even think about. Mm-hmm. I was more thinking about kind of, I guess, the rhetoric, the war rhetoric or kind of propaganda that may be used here. I know that Democrat candidate Buttigieg, I think is his name. He got a lot of feedback and pushback from his comment on Twitter, I guess, about how we were the cause of this Ukraine plane crash, which I think is a big stretch there. But
yeah, I don't pay attention to him, and I don't know what conversations he was in to particularly say that. But here's one thing that here's how I'm gonna throw this out there, and y'all could jump whatever way y'all want to jump with this. I know what my experience is in countermeasure warning systems, right? As far as like for missile attack stuff, and there are definitely ways to read what type of missile is coming at you. There's also the whole thing of you can read what the wreckage indicates as far as the burn patterns and what the chemical trace stuff is. Here's the thing. If you are what? Somebody said something?
Oh man, Christian McNair, you are a fool. I'm sorry, bro. I had to laugh at that one. This guy called him Buttigieg. Oh my God, you guys are just.
So what I'm basically where I'm going with this, if I'm supposed to use this particular article to be like, oh, here's the smoking gun. This is not a smoking gun for me. It's not a smoking gun for me because the way that it is written, it is a PR smear. That is literally what it is. In my mind, how it is put together, it is meant to undermine and discredit the Ukraine aviation.
That's so interesting that you get it. You come from that angle. I think it's a PR smear as well, but I think it's more so in the United States. In my opinion, it was an attempt to PR to smear Trump's actions. Like, hey, look what you did. Now look at what you kind of caused 170 something people to die because you decided to kill Soleimani or Soleimani or whatever his name is.
If you read what the missile experts, the excerpts of whatever conversation was being had, if you look at what those are, they're poking at the credibility of the Ukrainian aviation people. They're poking at, we have the UK that's going to be involved, Canada's going to be involved, and they're not saying like it's not the US and the West shouldn't be involved in this. It's like no, you got to have us there because if you don't have us there, they're not going to come to the right conclusion. That's how I'm taking it because it seemed like they were poking more at the oh God, what's the word I was just looking for? Basically, they were saying, yo, they're going to mess this up and they're not going to come up with the answer that we need. So we need to be there.
So they came on and admitted, finally, Iran did, because they weren't even going to give over. They were denying the black box info to the U.S. and Canada.
Wait, who was denying it?
Iran.
Wait, it got, okay, see, so I haven't paid 100% to this whole thing. Where did the plane crash? In Iran's territory?
In Iran, yeah, when it was taken off from Tehran airport or wherever. Yeah, it got taken down in Iran. So Iran has been the one kind of, trying to cover up stuff.
You're saying I shot down a plane in my territory, and then when you ask me for the all right, so I think I might have misspoken then. Whoever was the testing facility that they were mentioning in the beginning of the article,
yeah,
the following paragraphs in the article are undermining whoever was looking to run the test, whether it was Iran or whether it was the Iranians.
It was Iran.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all right.
So it's Iran you're talking about,
but
not
it's still
the same
point.
You're saying right.
They were undermining them doing it and not having it being the West or not having it being the U.S. or the UK.
Now I agree with you. Yes. They definitely were doing that. And I don't blame them, but for some reason, my gut feeling, I think they really did blow it down by mistake. I don't think they hit that plane on mistake. I don't know why. I just feel that way, that it was a mistake, but they were trying to cover it up because they didn't want to get in trouble.
Here's what I'm gonna say. What are the Russians saying? Because it's always interesting to me when anything happens over there. There is Russia news folks, Russia military folks, like they be quick to do them press releases or send out them articles, right?
Yeah.
What are they saying on Zero Hedge?
Yeah,
But like,
I would have to look.
right. But my point of where I'm going is, when you look outside of the main popular narratives or the louder voices in the mainstream stuff, somebody out there is usually saying the thing that like is the more closest to the truth of what happened. It's just you just don't get to know about it because they don't have the big enough platform, or they're you don't have regular exposure or any exposure to that kind of news source. You know, and yeah, it's one of those things that it makes me wonder, like, wait, so like what are the Russians saying about this right now? Because they have definitely one of the most advanced air forces and avionics
That's what I heard.
That's
what I heard. That's what I heard. You would know
like,
better than
bro,
me. You're in the military. You would know better than me. I heard Iran does have some very advanced military equipment, and so their retaliation on when we killed Soleimani, their retaliation with the how many missiles did they send over to the green zone? It was a bunch.
I seen one of the video things.
They missed, but they missed. They missed on purpose. They didn't want that smoke, bro. They didn't want that smoke.
The funny thing about that system, you miss maybe X amount of launches out of
I got
a larger pool, but like if the video I saw was the actual situation, bro, you don't miss like that.
Yeah,
like that wasn't just like we shot off a little, couple of rounds and then just went back home.
Right.
I mean, yeah, but
my whole thing with the situation, and the Democrats, they're full of it, in my opinion. But what they're saying is that, okay, he was a bad guy, but no, it shouldn't be. He's a bad guy, but he was a bad guy. We took him out. The timing, okay, you could talk about timing. Maybe it could have been done not during an impeachment process, but people forget that actually Trump has shown a lot of restraint when it comes to Iran. He has not jumped at every move that they've made in the past 3 years. So people just want to forget that part. The other point I want to make, though, is that they're saying that now that you killed him, look what they're going to do. They're going to attack us. That's in every scenario, whether it's tomorrow or in a year. Anytime you attack an enemy, there's going to be retaliation. That's just part of it. All right. So give me your thoughts. You're military, so I really want to hear what you have to say.
I'm gonna say this as somebody who's been in for a little bit, but I'm not saying it as somebody who is in decision positions or like whatever meeting. Like, I'm not that level dude. But there's one thing I have definitely learned and understand about how our military in particular works. When an action is taken that could have collateral damage or a higher risk of blowback, there is always X amount of contingency plans and options put into place. And it amazed me how many people hit me up over the last couple of days. It's like, hey, that's why I did that tweet the other day where I was like,
I remember that.
You okay? And I was like, yeah, what's up? I heard they drafting people. Like, nah, dog, that's not how this shit works. It don't work like that. You logistically, you cannot move 5,000 people in a swoop. All right, it doesn't work like that.
And on top of that, help me understand this. If he were to do a move like that, which he's explicitly stated that he's not going to war with Iran, that's not what's happening. But let's just say hypothetically he decided to. In that case, he would have to go to Congress to get that, wouldn't he? Nope. Oh, okay.
Because we already got the track records that show the president could make the order of moving troops from point A to point B without
been happening for the last
agreement of
15,
Congress.
20 years. Without
that's not, and then here's the real kicker of it, and what a lot of people don't realize, is that the way this system is set up now, thank you WB2, Bush 2, right? Let me not say that one. The thing of how it's set up now is the president can move troops as the commander in chief to and fro. And it's not just a matter of the active army. active army actually makes up a smaller portion of the overall larger military strength of the U.S. Reserves and National Guard are the actual higher body count as far as like number of people, right? And so when people started hitting me up, we're like, "Oh man, I heard they're drafting it." It's like, no, dog, it don't work like that. In my mind, in my little mind, for my perception of this whole thing, X amount of this stuff was planned out months ago. We just seeing a wag the dog tail situation right now.
I mean, and there's evidence that lends to that because remember, Trump did threaten, dude. I cannot believe this is the funniest thing to see a president have Twitter fingers with another person. Did you see when he was going at my man, the Ayatollah leader guy on Twitter a few weeks ago?
I did not see that.
Oh my God, bro. They were going at it, and my man, the Iranian guy, said, first of all, Trump, you don't know anything. No, he said, first of all, Trump, you can't do anything. Second of all, you're basically calling him dumb. That's what the Ayatollah leader did. And then Trump blasted the general commander dude to smithereens. Okay. I'm like, wow.
So here's the funny thing on that, right? It's like, you seen that meme? No, the GIF? No, not the short clip of the Kevin Hart and what's the Trini dude name? It's Kevin Hart, the Trini dude, and the guy from the Office, and they're in the movie, and Kevin Hart standing there, and the dude is like, "Oh no, I got him already. He good. Oh, you know what? He don't need nothing." And then Kevin Hart's like, "Wait, so you with him? Like y'all on the same thing?" He's like, "No, that's my dude right there. Me and him on." And he started getting at him all loud and stuff, and he's like, "All right, bet. I'm gonna be back." I was just like, funny. Yo, that is so true. Like, that is us right there. Like,
people fail to realize, people were saying that Iran, the general, Soleimani was helping us fight ISIS. Well, what people don't understand is that Iran was never friends with ISIS. ISIS has been a mortal enemy of them for many, many years. And so them aligning with us to fight ISIS, hell, I would fight ISIS too if a country sent me $450 billion unmarked money on a plane. Obama, I would be fighting. I would, I'll do it. Let's go fight the ISIS regime.
But we been spending money before Obama, bro. We've been like, here's the thing that kills me.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yes, I've heard that in Bush's regime. We sent. Yeah, I heard about that. It was never. But the thing is, in that scenario, it was never like actually exposed. This time with Obama, it was actually exposed.
I'm gonna say it depends on who you were paying attention to as far as your news source, because it was definitely something that was talked about back then.
Okay.
But where I'm going is that I'm always surprised at on this side of the ocean, the garrison, the home turf understanding of what it is. And I'm not saying I'm 100% expert. I'm not saying that at all by any means to anybody out there. What I am saying is my perspective, and not my perception, my perspective on this is different on the end of, I've been a couple of places.
Yeah.
I've paid attention to how this narrative has moved from with the public news source side of it to the woo-woo side of it.
Yeah.
And when you start cross-referencing and then putting in like what you know because you've been somewhere, the public narrative don't add up. Like I was just watching the other day. What's the dude name? It's not Jeremy, but he did a revision of his book, the what is it? The Tales or the Memoir of an Economic Hitman. He's doing a whole speaker circuit thing right now.
Okay.
And this dude is talking from firsthand experience. Like, yo, like here's what we did when we went into places, and either you play or lay down. One of the two things is gonna happen. And he gives a 20, 30 year history in condensed version of like, here's how we did it over here, here's how we did it over there, here's how we did it over there. This, in my opinion, is why China is making such gains in every market and every country that they enter into. Why? Because they're not coming with anything at the barrel of a gun, bro. They literally like, yo, here's a bag, bloop, build that infrastructure. Here's a bag, bloop, build that hydro dam. But you got to take at least 15K of our citizens to work on that project. They do it in South America. They do it in the Caribbean. They doing it all up and down Africa, South Africa, Nigeria,
and listen,
Laos.
we can't help an inner city school district,
Bro.
It's so disgusting, bro. It is so disgusting, and I don't know, man. I don't know how this all ends. But one thing I do want to highlight, I saw this comment from let's see, Christian McNear. He said, what did he say? He said something about Obama coming out of this one clean once again. So far he orchestrated this cleanly, like couldn't be done any better. But you never know what future attacks or whatever.
Clean? I don't understand what that means.
Well, I mean, executing Soleimani, and then basically publicly having Iran make a statement saying they're backing down. They came out the other day and said they're backing down. They sent their missiles they had to save face. They sent the missiles to our toward our base. Like you said, they could have easily hit the base, but they backed down for now. That's what I say, for now. He won for now. Now what happens underground with these other little cells within Iran? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see. Right. My man, Rethinking the Dollar, also said something pretty interesting about the Ukraine plane that was blown down. He was like, we got to pay attention to who was on the plane. Was there? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we haven't gotten any details on that yet.
Like that's a whole nother level of like the lengths some people will go to get a particular person. And you make it look like a whole nother situation. It's like, you go into a house and you want to get some information out of there, but then you make it look like a robbery and you stole stuff, but like you really just wanted the one little thing. I mean, it's a real smart, like, kind of intel thing to do, man.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plans out. Again, Dems looking horrible out of this situation. Again, they can't catch a win for nothing, bro. They can't catch a win because they thought he was going to go to war. He's like, no, I'm not going to war. What are you talking about? This is a one precision attack. Took this cat out and his friend. Boom, we're done. Like Trump say, fantastic.
I'm gonna throw this one out there. And again, this is not me being privy to any particular conversation, but I would look at it and go, it was probably one of those things where they looked at who was on the list and they said, all right, who could we actually knock on and the blowback be something that we could weather within the public sentiment of the masses in the U.S. and overseas.
Okay, so here's a point. Here's an angle, and I saw this in the chat room. This brings a point up, and I remember seeing this online as well. President Tudor, I think that's how you say his
French
name.
Dude. Uh-huh.
French. He's Canadian prime minister or whatever, I believe.
Tudor? That's not the French dude?
I don't know. But there were a lot of Canadians on the plane, and so Canada has gotten involved in this whole situation as well.
Okay, yeah. All right. Sorry. My bad on the names. I know somebody out there like, yo, how you not going to know? My Canucks to the north. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I think that he's Canadian. I know the Canadians are really involved, and I saw his name.
Yeah.
But that I don't know, man. We're always going to have our theories and never have a real answer, but
a lot of theories.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
We're gonna see how it play out.
Any last comments about everything tonight? I know you're in Whole Foods. You got the police. I see the police over there in the corner about to take you out.
No, I don't know what's going on.
Just don't raise your hand with your phone in it because they'll shoot you dead. Okay, you're a black man. They'll see a black object and then they'll kill you.
Bro, you have no idea. It's a funny thing, man, how I be moving out here now. and just doing what I do. And I'm gonna talk with you another time about this stuff offline. But
Yeah, no doubt.
It's interesting.
Let people know how they can. Any last thoughts if you had any?
Thoughts. I am not an expert by any means. It's just a matter of I've been in this space for a while, and I've seen how the popular narrative has been doing its morphing and changing in the semantics game. So if you feel I'm wrong, great. Let's talk about it. Find me on Twitter at Smart Trekking. That's with 2 Ks. It's ING. It's EN, not ING. Or you can find me on Instagram, and that's Smart. Oh no, Trekking Cryptos. Also on LinkedIn, and the podcast is called Trekking Cryptos to Connect, and that's at anchor.fm/Trekk TREKK. Can I bring up what I'm doing at the end of the month?
Absolutely.
So end of the month, I will be in Hamilton, Ontario at Block Tech Connect, and I'm doing a presentation entitled the Seesaw of Mass Adoption, and it's basically what we were talking about, like kind of earlier in the the first hour, the top half of it, about mass adoption and how people influence the pace of mass adoption. So,
cool.
That's
man. It. Well, everybody out there, make sure you hit that like button. Definitely would love to see that happen. And thanks for the conversation in the chat room. 10 Pound, always a pleasure. I mean, Mr. T, don't forget your chains next time.
Yeah. It just popped up at the bottom of the window, and I was like, whoa.
Yo, right, because we can see him before you guys could. So when he popped into the room, he's in there adjusting this little cutoff. He's like, he's kissing his muscles and stuff. I'm like, oh God, what the hell is going on tonight? Yeah, but appreciate everybody tuning in. That's episode number 22. Shout out again to my man John Kim for coming. That was dope.
Having
John come on.
John, always good to have you too.
Always.
Trust you, man.
Yeah. We'll do it live. Fucking thing. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
All right, people. We out of here. Holla.
Yeah. Yeah. Stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum.